coppers need protection at that point. Let's talk to someone who knows all about this, former armed response officer and author, Harry Tangye. Good afternoon, Harry.
Good afternoon, Kevin. What a brilliant introduction you've done, really. I mean, I think that's pretty fair.
That's the way I see it. I mean, it's you know, decisions like that, you know about this. I mean, it is a split second, and it is only human that sometimes the wrong decision will be made. It's going to happen. That does not make the officer a murderer, in my view. It makes him an officer who unleashed his weapon in the line of duty, and he needs legal protection. Don't you agree?
Officers they totally expect to have a thorough investigation, just as much as in a murder inquiry. You know, you've got the inquest and the criminal inquiry if that's the case. They expect that. They're willing to accept that as long as they don't also get treated like a criminal, as if a member of the public walked down the street with a handgun and shot someone in a car or so on. Now, because with that, they're saying, well, they shouldn't give up their weapons, they can go back to borough, you know, and the officers are being ordered to do this, whether it's a lawful order or not. Those officers have to seriously decide with their families, is this worth the risk anymore? Or shall I go into another department in the police, which can be just as tricky, but not nearly so dangerous for ending up in remand in prison? So it's not a political fact for them. They're not making a protest. They're literally thinking, it's not safe anymore. Why would I do a job where the chances of me being remanded are massively high?
It's extraordinary. You're quite right. I don't think any firearms officer would object to being investigated after a killing, after a shooting. That's only natural. But to bring in the full force of the law while you're doing your job, I mean, I think that the government, as a matter of urgency, has to look into this. Now, you also know, this might be me being naive here, Harry, but, you know, I just refuse to believe. If this guy, NX121, he's been charged with murder. So that implies, if he's found guilty, that he executed this guy, that he walked up to him and deliberately shot him dead because he didn't really like the look of him or something like that. Now, you know, I don't cut the police all that much slack. I spend a lot of time criticising them. However, I do not believe there are any firearms officers out there who would execute someone like that. Am I right?
Right. Well, I've worked over the country. I've spent a lot of time in London. Because I'm an outside force, I was determined to dislike the Met because, you know, it's a bit of competition. Never met a more professional bunch of people. I really haven't. I've worked with them a lot since on VIP protection, that side of things. The training, I think the public don't realise, the basic course for armed response is 13 weeks. I think it's 14 weeks now. And that's before any of the driving, with advanced drivers in most forces. Then the refresher training, 4 days every 6 weeks. They are critical. So they are highly stressful days where scenarios are given and you are critiqued. Why did you go for that option? Didn't you think about this option? And it's not all terrorists. It's not all running around with guns. It's, okay, well, how are we dealing with this person? Why are they reacting like this? Is it autism? Are they deaf? Are they, you know, is there some way we can prevent? It's all about that. So those officers, if we had someone in our ranks that even had an unhealthy fixation in weaponry, they would shine out a mile. And they wouldn't last 2 minutes. I didn't know anything about guns and rifles. People always tell me about their favourite rifle. I don't know. I just know the ones I use. It's the professional and the teamwork. And they would not be doing this if they felt, let's talk generically and play really safe here, all right? If they felt that someone was out of order, made a really stupid mistake or was any intent whatsoever, they would not be so worried about themselves getting into similar trouble. It's as simple as that.
But you would agree, Harry, that with me, that I think the government needs to get its act together on this very, very quickly. We need clarity, because it would seem to me that officers like yourself and your colleagues, they're not quite sure what they're getting into here. If they get their gun out and they fire it, and it hits someone and it kills them, at the moment, God knows what might happen. Surely they should be protected from the possibility of legal proceedings. We don't know what happened with Chris Corber. Obviously, that is in the realm of an upcoming court case, so we don't know exactly what happened. And there may be circumstances when coppers, you know, really do something wrong in these situations.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, except in exceptional circumstances where, say, a fellow officer witnesses his colleague go completely rogue, except in those circumstances, surely it is no great stretch to allow firearmed officers, to be protected from murder charges or manslaughter.
Yeah, they don't want carte blanche to be able, for the example you've just given. What they're very suspicious of, and what I knew in the police for the last 10 years at least, they felt the IOPC and the CPS wanted a spike on a head on the spike. They wanted to show that we are beating this corrupt policing, and the police generally, through my speaking to police all over the country every day, is that they feel that the managers, especially the Met, have become much more political, and there's far fewer police leaders anymore. They're more self-career managers, and they're politicians, and they've been left behind. And if they have to have one officer expendable in order to not have maybe a 2011 incident, that's what they're concerned about.
I'm with you, Harry.
Why they don't trust it.
Harry, we've got to go to America to cut for a speech. Very good to talk to you. Harry Tangye there, former armed response officer and author. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. Should officers get special protection?